The storm raged outside as Mia heard a faint knocking at her door, too soft to be the wind, but just loud enough to send a chill down her spine. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. Logic told her to ignore it, to walk away. But something, curiosity, instinct, or maybe just the weight of the moment, pushed her forward. Slowly, she cracked the door open, the wind howling as it forced its way inside. Standing on her porch, drenched from the rain, was a figure cloaked in a dark, tattered coat. Their face was hidden beneath the shadow of a hood. Then, in a voice barely louder than the storm, they whispered, "You don't remember me, but I remember you." Mia's blood ran cold, her scream freezing in her throat. Every instinct told her to slam the door to lock herself inside, but an odd familiarity stopped her. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to speak. "Who are you?" The figure took a slow step forward, the dim porch light illuminating their face. Beneath the hood were piercing green eyes, his eyes. A memory stirred, hazy and distant, like a half-forgotten dream. Her breath caught. It couldn't be. Sebastian. Sebastian, who had died at sea years ago. Mia staggered back, gripping the doorframe to keep herself upright. "No, this isn't possible. You dash." "I know," he interrupted, his voice low and steady, but laced with something darker. Regret, sorrow. "I shouldn't be here, but I am." Sebastian reached into his coat and pulled out something small, silver and glinting in the dim light. A locket. He held it out to her, silent. Mia hesitated before taking it with trembling fingers. She flipped it open. Inside was a picture of her and him. Her knees nearly buckled. It was him, but it couldn't be. Mia lifted her gaze back to him, searching his face for proof. Was he real? And then she remembered. The scar. Sebastian had once cut his thumb on a fishing net during a summer they spent together by the docks. Without thinking, she reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. His fingers were cold, too cold, like they'd never felt warmth. She turned his palm over. There it was, a thin, jagged scar running across his left thumb. Her fingers trembled around his. "Sebastian, how?" His gaze flickered toward the storm, his shoulders tensing as if he expected something worse. "I don't have much time," he murmured. Mia swallowed hard. "Why are you here?" His grip on her arm tightened slightly. "Because something followed me back." At that moment, a crack of thunder rattled the house. Mia gasped, falling forward into Sebastian's arms. Terror clawed at her chest, but the feeling of him, solid, real, only made everything worse. "Who?" she whispered. Sebastian hesitated, his eyes darkening. "Not who," he said, voice barely audible. "What?" Mia's stomach dropped. The wind outside shifted, the howl turning into something unnatural. Then, tap, 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 not knocking, scratching. She barely had time to process it before a voice, low, hollow, and wrong, whispered from the other side of the door. "Mia, open the door!" She shuddered, burying her face in Sebastian's shoulder. The voice was familiar, but it was wrong. She thought for a moment, confusion clouding her mind, until the realization hit her like ice water. The voice was her own. Mia stilled, horror rooting her to the spot. "Why?" she screamed at the figureless voice that tormented her. And then the memories returned, the lonely nights, the heartbreak, the nights spent by the ocean, whispering her grief to the waves, begging for him back. Something had listened, something had answered. Her breathing turned shallow. "Sebastian," she whimpered, "what do we do?" He exhaled sharply, his grip tightening around her arms. "Mia, you weren't supposed to remember." Her breath hitched. "What?" "You weren't supposed to know because if you did, you'd try to stop it." The knocking turned violent. The walls shook. The air thickened, pressing down on her lungs. Sebastian cupped her face in his hands. "The deal is already made." Mia's pulse pounded. What deal? The thing outside let out a breathy, distorted laugh. A life for a life. The doorknob rattled. Mia clutched at Sebastian. No, we'll find another way. There has to be another way. Sebastian gave her a sad, knowing smile. I wish that were true. The door burst open. A shadow, not a person, not a form, just a void of writhing, endless darkness, filled the doorway. The air twisted, bending reality around it. It reached toward them. Sebastian turned to face it. It's time! Mia screamed, clutching at him, pulling, begging him not to leave her again. But his body was already unraveling, flickering, dissolving into the nothingness that had come to claim him. Mia, he whispered, brushing a tear from her cheek, you gave me something precious. Tears streamed down her face. What? Sebastian smiled, bittersweet and full of longing. Time, a moment with you, a goodbye. The darkness lunged. Sebastian let go. The storm surged into the house, wind and shadow crashing through in a violent whirlwind. And then, silence. Mia gasped for breath, her trembling hands pressed against the wooden floor. The house was still. The air was warm again. No shadows lurked in the corners. The presence, that terrible, suffocating presence, was gone. She pushed herself up, her body shaking. Sebastian was gone. Nothing remained. Nothing. Except for the silver locket. With trembling hands, Mia picked it up from the floor. She flipped it open, her breath catching in her throat. The picture was the same, her and Sebastian. But now, beside it, was a single line of text, newly etched into the metal. I was never lost. Tears blurred her vision as she clutched the locket to her heart. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the ocean, calm and endless, as if the storm had never been. As if he had never been. But Mia knew better. He had been here, and somehow he always would be,